G'day, everybody. Welcome to Wind Against Tide. We are at episode 117, coming at you live across the airwaves. Tonight, I'm joined by my brother, Tom, once again. Tom, thank you for coming on down.
Good evening.
Absolute pleasure to have you back. Joey has disappeared. He is back in Victoria, but he's got a backlog of real estate work to do, allegedly, so that's where he is. But we have joining us on the audio an absolute legend of the fishing industry, Dom Thornley from Shimano. Dom, how are you doing?
That's an intro, a legend of the fishing industry. Wow. I'm not sure about that. I've only been in the industry for a couple of years, but boys, it's an honour to be here. Tom and Dave, lovely to be in your company, but disappointing to hear Joey hasn't made the show, given he's just flown in from overseas.
Very, very, very soft. It'd be like you flying somewhere to play cricket and going, "No, I'm too tired. I got too much on." So
I think he's 12th man today.
He is.
If the wicket was green, I'd be happy to get back in the plane and go home. But no, I was actually looking forward to picking Joey's brain tonight. I've been listening to the pod for quite a while now, and you guys entertain me as I drive down to Shimano each morning.
I know Joe has some quite intriguing insights into things. He sees the world in a beautiful way, old Joey, so that's why people love to hear from him.
Does.
Hey,
we'll save it for another time.
We will. Hey, Dom, did you know that you have a Wikipedia page about you? That's the sort of level that you're operating in.
No, well, I was made aware of it, but it scares me. Google doesn't hide a lot of things about you. And unfortunately, that part of my life is done and dusted, and I've been known to call it Australia's dying sport at the moment. But the fishing industry has certainly opened up my eyes in the world, and I've thoroughly enjoyed moving into it, having had my sporting career and done and dusted, and been absolutely bashed around by the Vicks every year, down at the MCG and out at the Junction Oval and anywhere else. But no, I had a great time doing that, playing cricket, and then got myself a marketing degree while I was playing cricket, and always said that one day I'd love to work in a brand or a business or a product as a marketing manager. And it just so happens that I've combined a passion of mine in fishing with a product or a brand like Shimano.
Oh, wonderful. But before we do move on to that, we can't let cricket die. So what I'm going to do, Dom, I'm going to read your Wikipedia page.
This scares me.
Because it's a fantastic read. So everybody strap in for this one. Dominic John Thornley is an Australian former first-class cricketer who played for New South Wales cricket team in domestic cricket. You made your debut for New South Wales at the age of 25 and made your maiden first-class century with 143. So you've done well there against Victoria. So that would have been satisfying at Newcastle.
That was probably my first and only success against the Vicks. But I got in early before they got me. But it was good fun. Yeah, I do fondly remember that first 100. But yeah, 25. I was a bit of a late starter when it comes to cricket.
That is a little bit late. Yeah.
Well, I was the second youngest ever to go to the cricket academy as well. So clearly something didn't quite go right there when I was a bit younger, and that's another story for probably more the psychologist and the sports psychologist world. I just put far too much pressure on myself when I was a kid, and it took me to be introduced into having a beer and having a good time before I started playing great cricket. I won't tell too many kids that, but I was probably one of those kids who just threw everything into cricket and sacrificed everything as a kid. And obviously had a good run of it, but it took me a while to play.
I won't run through the whole Wikipedia page, but what you've done in your
cricketing... Let's not bore the listeners, mate.
It's not boring. I read it earlier and I was like, wow, you've had a fantastic career. And you played with some quite amazing, very high-profile names as well, and held your own. So
It was great. It was a good era to play. It was at the same stage as the Australian team. I think they won 16 tests in a row. We were world champions in everything. And, I was contributing well for the Blues. And, I think my second year, I had one really good year, 1,000-run season, and wasn't even close to being picked for Australia. And I think, in today's world, you get 1,000 runs in a Shield game and you're probably vice captain of Australia.
Yeah.
So it's sort of, and that's the way the game's changed too, because the introduction of 2020, which is now 20 years old, like it's not really an introduction anymore. But what is an introduction is all these leagues and franchises around the world that you can go and play at. So I was blessed that I got to go and play with the Mumbai Indians in the IPL in the first season. And here's a little trivia question for you. The first player to ever retire hurt in the IPL was actually yours truly.
Oh, there you go.
It was from a bouncer that I copped. Typical, because I'm 6'3" and I used to like to hit the ball down the ground on the front foot. When the blokes bowled half volleys to you.
Yep.
But they soon worked me out that he's 6'3" and he doesn't really play that well off the back foot. So everyone just bowled at my head, and it wasn't a great time of it. You walk out at the MCG and Shane Harwood, who bowls the speed of light, or Dirk Nannis, and they're steaming in, just trying to hit you in the head for the first half an hour of your batting.
Yeah, that's no fun.
It was never fun.
No.
It was never fun. No one likes that.
I thought your the first injury retirement from IPL could have been Dally Belly related, but
no, nothing to do with that. And anyway, so third ball I faced, and I remember Ashley Noski and Cameron White were playing for the Bangalore Royal Challengers, and Zaire Khan was bowling, and they walked over to him and whispered something in his ear, and I went, yeah, I know what they're saying. They're going to say bowl at his head. Anyway, so they've come charging in, bouncers come, and I've gone, bugger this, I'm going to have a go at it. And I've gone to hook it, and I've come through a bit early, and then the ball's just come straight past my bat, straight between the grill and my helmet, and straight into my eye. 18 stitches.
Wow.
Straight into hospital. Yeah, it was pretty nasty.
Yeah.
So straight to it was a pretty amazing moment. Straight to an Indian hospital. I pretty much got covered in a tarp, and I had about 40 people in the room. And I just yelled out, "Stop the game! Whoever just threw that needle in my arm didn't tell me about it. Someone needs to take ownership, and what's going on next, So
yeah.
Anyway, that was a bit of a moment. So there's your trivia, boys. Anyway, if you do any trivias around town, I don't think anyone in the world except me will ever get it.
Maybe we can do a Wind Against Tide trivia night, and that can be one of the questions. Make sure everyone's been listening to the show. You mentioned cricketers like Cam White there, who are I know he loves his fishing, and many other Australian cricketers and
they do.
And state level cricketers love their fishing. What do you think it is about fishing that draws all these athletes towards the sport?
Oh, I think the challenge, the anticipation of what is going to happen. Athletes obviously like to control what's going to happen, and they train so hard to be able to achieve. About to see the Olympics, aren't we? And it's amazing to sort of even listen to the lead up to some of these athletes in what they're going to achieve. So I think with fishing, you wake up in the morning and you have a bit of a target species, and then the elements and the challenges that come with that are so rewarding. The tides, the wind, the moon, the barometer, the seasonality, the water temperature, the list goes on. And I think as a sportsman, and I know myself, when I look at that, that's my new challenge to be rewarded. And when you do then capture a fish or a species that you're targeting, that moment, we all know it. We all really appreciate it when that fish is safely landed in a net, and we get a nice photograph. And if we want to keep it, we keep it and dispatch of it, or if we want to release it, we release it. There's a lot of satisfaction in that. And I think the other part too is that a lot of sports people these days have got a lot of time in between trainings as well. More and more coaches are saying, you know what? And I know we did it as a cricket team. I'd always have one full day that was always free per week. I know the AFL guys are doing it now. I've got AFL blokes ringing me left, right, and centre. Around Sydney particularly. Keen to go fishing, keen to link up with someone to go fishing, and they want to surround themselves with fishers who know what they're doing, because they can elevate their experience to be able to have success. The weekend warrior who will go out and consistently go back to their spot and keep trying to catch and keep working it out, that's an ongoing challenge that they're having. I think these sports people go, well, I need the fast lane. Yep. Get me straight to the tuna, get me straight to the snapper, get me straight to the squid or the flatties, and they don't have that time that a lot of the weekend warriors do have.
Yeah, it's something that I've talked about in the past. Is it always amazes me because growing up, Tom and I actually both were mad keen cricketers, but somewhere along the way,
you saw the light. You saw the light, mate.
we went fishing too much and got dropped. But it always amazes me that at like now, I quite often will get high profile sports people and people in the community want to have a chat to talk about fishing and get some tips or even hook up for a fish. And it's the great equalizer, I think.
And it is. You're 100% right. You can get on an absolute great streak and have success, but it will always and sport does it too, it'll always come back and bite you somewhere and offer you another challenge. And as you say, it's a great equalizer. You're 100% right.
100%.
And I think our sportsmen also, sports people, it can be such a relaxing environment and it's a great stimulant for mental health as well, fishing. I mean, during COVID, you poor buggers down in Victoria didn't have a great, you didn't have a great period during COVID. The rest of us were able to still actively get out and fish. That was one of the few recreations we were still allowed to do. And, the industry, I've joined Shimano only 15 months ago now, but I'm seeing the engagement, I'm seeing the sales figures of what fishing products were during the COVID period, and they're at an all-time high. Since COVID, interesting fact, since COVID, we've seen another 1.3 to 1.4 million recreational anglers take up fishing since COVID, which is fantastic. And I think it's to do with the fact that we all paused, stopped. Unfortunately, most of us were locked in, but those that were allowed out went, well, I'm actually going to go and sit on the bank, on a rock, on the water, and just enjoy an afternoon and have a bit of quiet time. And they soon realised that, I need to do more of this for myself.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Yeah, I was. We had the 5 kilometer radius thing going on. We couldn't go fishing more than that, and I was pretty bemused because I lived 3K from the ramp, and that meant I could only go another couple of K from where I launched, which didn't make a lot of sense. But anyway, we've moved on from that.
We have moved on. There's so many stories from it. I actually, fortunate through the game of cricket, was able to purchase an investment property up north, and we moved up there basically a week before Sydney locked down, and we just stayed there for 3 months, and that was Port Stephens. So the local council weren't allowing anyone that wasn't a resident to go and use the ramp. And so I just transferred all my registration of my trailer and my boat into Port Stephens, and was able to go out and fish most mornings before I had to get stuck into some work or send the kids off to their computers to do their schooling or whatever it was. So it was a good time.
No, you played that very well. What about you, Tom? Where were you then?
I was very much landlocked in Montrose, so I think the only thing within 5 kilometres was Lilydale Lake.
Yep, Stocked Lake.
Not a lot of options for me. I think I spent most of COVID just buying fishing tackle, getting ready for when I finally was allowed. And
that's why Dom could get his holiday house at Port Stephens.
It's an interesting time.
It was. Now, I think maybe we touch a little bit about your fishing background. Were you a late bloomer in the fishing as well as the cricket, or is it
I was. Yeah, halfway through my cricket career, fixated on the game, completely obsessed in it, and was having a bit of a dry run. The coach called me in and said, "Mate, I think you're just spending too much time thinking about cricket. Everything's cricket. And he said, have you got any other hobbies? Did you do anything? Did you as a kid? And I said, well, I used to go camping a lot with my parents. So I come from Albury, which is a 1 wood away from Victoria.
Yep.
And we used to go up the river towards Corryong on the Murray River, and we'd go camping at this one little caravan park near Walwa. And that was a consistent for like years, 10 years straight. Every holidays we were there, and we met some wonderful people from Victoria and friends and whatnot. But I was always jumping on other people's boats, chasing cod. And funnily enough, we weren't fishing with rods and reels for cod. We were set lining off the willows which I think's now illegal, and I'm hoping it is.
Yeah,
But
definitely is. But yep.
but I was jumping on all these old guys. I'm an 8-year-old kid, and there'd be Bill and Bob and Fred, and they're all saying to me, now, when I take you out, you're not going to tell Bill where my spot is. And Bob would say the opposite. It was hilarious. But it got me around fishing then, and I said that to my coach, and he said, well, what about fishing, And I was like, yeah, what about it? So the next trip I went on, it might have been a flight somewhere to Perth or somewhere for a game, go into the news agent there and buy a fishing mag, and I start reading on how to catch flathead on soft plastic. And I was like, this sounds good, this sounds a challenge, nice and fun. So go and buy a little combo, go and buy some plastics, go over to Narrabeen Lake in Sydney and teach myself how to catch flays. Only got on the second trip. I hooked a couple, got them, scored them. I like, this is fun. I love this. Got right into it, as you do. Being a sportsman, you just get obsessed on something.
Yep.
And then moved on to snapper. Bought myself a boat when I came back from England, and started chasing snapper on plastics. And really, that's sort of where it started. And I still, to this day, like 85% of my fishing is snappering on plastics, and I absolutely love it. I go in competitions and everything like that, which I really enjoy.
Yep.
I've done one tuna trip, which actually just jumped on my feed 3 days ago. It was 10 years ago that I went out on our boat. So Brett Lee and myself bought a boat together, and we went out off Sydney to chase some tuna, and we had a good day. We got a 90-kilo tuna, and then I got a 143-kilo tuna.
Wow.
Which was pretty cool. Look, obviously 2 novices, not really knowing what we're doing, but I said, right, we'll bring the boat and the gear. You guys bring the knowledge. So we were out there with a couple of local tackle store owners. To their credit, they put us onto some pretty good fish. And it was late in the day. It was about a 3 o'clock bite. And anyway, Brett's on first, and so he catches his fish, and we're all high-fiving, and this is unbelievable. 90-kilo fish. We've never seen one like that before. So Brett's up the front getting this nice photograph done and whatever. And while that was happening, I was sort of like, hang on, I'm seeing splashes and there's some big fish around here. So I just throw 2 lures out the back, don't even know what length. I just threw them out the back and just started driving in figure eights right where we were. And next minute, the rod's gone off. And I said, boys, you just get your photos. I got this. And so I've hooked into it. And then they've harnessed me up. And 45 minutes later, we pulled this. 4 of us had to pull it over, this 143-kilo slob of a fish. It was unbelievable.
And that was your first attempt.
And you're going to cringe at this. I have never been bluefin tuna fishing since 10 years ago.
Because you've succeeded. You've won. You've already.
I was like, how am I going to beat that?
I've been lucky enough to be a part of probably 50 odd fish over 100 kilo, and your PB is bigger than mine. So,
I feel embarrassed, mate, because I was figure eighting with 2 lines out only, no teasers, and I don't know how long the lines were out. Clearly, it was enough. But I think we were
correct.
we're on a patch. But it was just funny the fact that here was Brett getting photographed up the front with, we're trying to clean the blood up on the tuna to make it look good, because the last thing we wanted was a sportsman be seen as, animal cruelty or whatnot. And I'm just at the back having a good time, having a laugh, and I managed to hook this other fish.
The only question I have about that is, were they on squidgy blue water liveys?
That's a really good question, and I don't believe they were. They were both on skirts, and they came from a little tackle store called Fish Out of Water. Actually, they were Black Pete.
Yep.
Black Pete Marine, James Thackeray up here in Sydney.
Yep.
He was on the boat, and they definitely would have been his lures for sure, because he brought the lures. We didn't have lures. So. Yes.
Oh well, that's a great start
So
to great start and end to your tuna fishing career.
Of which then my boss decided, we'll get to that a little bit later, but decided to go out on Wednesday, and it was 10 years to the day. And funnily enough, he was fishing right in the same spot where I was fishing 10 years ago. Got himself a 125-kilo fish. So
yes,
there you go.
We might touch on that with our little fishing report segment in a little while.
No problems.
Yeah.
No problems.
So you say that your favourite type of fishing is for the snapper on soft plastic. So I presume you're doing that around Coffs Harbour sort of region, or because I know that's
I do Coffs. Yeah, Coffs is my favourite. But Port Stephens, Broughton Island, Seal Rocks is that's where I keep the boat at Port Stephens, and I venture out there quite a lot. Try to get up there nearly every weekend whenever I can, and it's a great fishery. It's I feel like the snapper fishing here in New South Wales. I mean, the guys down south will curse me on this for sure because I haven't done enough of it, but there's some really great, lumpy, knobby-headed reds all the way from Port Stephens right up to the Tweed, basically. But yeah, something about Coffs Harbour. I love Coffs Harbour. It's all reef, it's all shallow. No matter where you're driving around good reef edges, and there's just some monstrous snapper that migrate in that area. They're always frequently visited there, and and I love shallow. Like for me, anything deeper than about 25 meters is just like I feel like I'm fishing on the edge of the shelf.
Yeah.
I get right in tight with the shallows, and I fish 1/4 ounce jig heads with big 7'10" rods and just cast as far as I can on the drift. Sort of around that sort of 7-inch style soft plastic is my go-to, and I got taught it early in my life, and I pretty much haven't switched from it. I just absolutely love that crunch of a red, and then quite often if it's a real good one and you're all locked up on 20 pound, you've got to get on top of it because you're only in shallow water, so you got to drive the boat hard straight up on top of it and fight the fish, and so there's a fair bit of adrenaline to it all. It's sort of not sitting back waiting for the fish to come to you. You're kind of hunting, which probably is more my game.
Do you like a feed of snapper as well? Are you a big fish eater?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not huge. Like I'll definitely bring a nice pan-sized one. The big ones I'll always let go, and I don't come home with eskies full of them. But no, they're a great feed. I love a good feed, as obviously the flathead as well. That linger around port. But I've just gotten into that sort of swim baiting with the bigger hard bodies and jerk baits. We've got a few new lures that they're on the shelves around a number of tackle stores. They're not even on our website in Shimano. We've got them from Japan.
Yep.
And some really, really cool lures that are lingering around. There's plenty of good tackle stores in Victoria that have got hold of them now, and they're really ideal for those real big flathead. So I'm sure there's some monsters over there at the Gippsland, isn't there?
Oh, 100%. And that fishery's kind of exploded in popularity for the last few years,
hasn't it? Yeah.
I think for so long, all the netting down there has just really sort of killed it, and now that most of that's gone out of the Gippsland lakes, people are happy to go there, spend the money, and enjoy a holiday where they can actually catch a fish. So
exactly, it's amazing how many systems have just completely fired. And you mentioned it, Tom. Removal of the netting. It's extraordinary on how many conversations that I'm having with all the anglers around Australia, and they're saying, "Oh, this is firing," and "Oh yeah, what's the reason for that?" "Oh, the netting was removed 5 years ago, 10 years ago," and you're going, "Yeah, it makes sense."
Yeah. I mean, it's a balance because we want everyone to have access to fresh seafood, but
correct.
It certainly seems to be a pretty strong correlation with the removal of commercial fishing from some locations, and the fishing picking up, which has happened for us in Gippsland Lakes we mentioned, but Port Phillip, that snapper season there is better and better every year almost. And probably underutilized in the lure fishing aspect of the fishery. Not a lot of people going out there chucking soft plastics and jigging. It's a very old school bait fishery. But I reckon maybe you need to come down, Dom, and put on a bit of a masterclass.
Mate, I had this conversation. You boys would know Costa, Cooked Up magazine. Well, I'm sure. He's a terrific advocate of fishing in Victoria, and he's one of the guys that I chat to about the fishery down there. And we only had this conversation during the week. We've got a new soft plastic about to be launched at AFTA in a few weeks' time, and it's a 110 mil with a paddle tail, and it's very buoyant as well. And he sort of suggested that the soft plasticking down there is generally a bit smaller in size plastic. The reds like to eat, and he thinks that lure might be a really, really good lure for plasticking for the reds in the bay.
Well,
so I'm interested to see it, and I'd love to try. I'd love to get you boys. Definitely, you'll get some packets and get you out there experimenting and trying. But certainly, if we can get any feedback from anyone down there that's willing to give it a go, I'm all ears and all open to giving people an opportunity, because the fishery in Victoria is fantastic. I only ever hear fantastic reports, and the fisheries, I'm hearing that's probably the best run in the country, and it's exciting to hear that, because I think that the stigma of, oh no, you only just catch tunas and snapper in Victoria, it's far from it now. There's so many different species you can chase, and we're hearing more and more wonderful parts of the state that have got some really good fishing happening.
Yeah, it's interesting because now we don't have the netting going on in Port Phillip. The place is chockers full of pilchards and whitebait. So
there you go. Why wouldn't you hang around there if you're a big hungry red?
Yeah, so I remember back in the day we used to chuck pilly flick baits was everyone's favourite, and you'd rip them around quite erratically like a dying pilchard on the sea floor. And yeah, we used to do really well on the old flick bait. So anything I think a bait fish profile in Port Phillip's always going to be a go-to.
Funny, Dave. I was just in our storeroom there at the factory at Shimano and pulled out a box the other day, and it was full of pilly flick baits. And everyone in the office was like, "Oh, they used to be dynamite." And I love that when you find an old lure you used to catch so many fish on, but because of the way the industry and everyone's looking for the edge, and I love watching people design new lures and new takes, but yeah, you always go back to that one that always used to work, and that confidence that you have.
Yep. Now, we touched briefly on your role at Shimano. So how did you get into that one, and what exactly are you doing there?
Yeah, so look, my title is content and brand marketing manager. So I co-share the marketing manager's role with Amy Rupus, who between us, we manage the whole marketing team. My side of the marketing role is to do with content, with sponsored anglers and events and charters. There's a few other back of house logistics that I do as well, but really it's about the forward facing. Anything that you see that's communicated, generally, it's under my management of that. We have contractors, and we have a whole host of terrifically talented and gifted anglers who support our product. I strategically sort of select those guys and girls to be able to market our product, and yeah, well, I'm quite geographically focused on that. And it's, to be honest, Victoria is an area that I've openly communicated to everyone in the industry that I would love to get more people involved with Shimano in Victoria. So I'm hoping that a few of your listeners who are avid anglers would may have an interest in doing some work with Shimano. But yeah, really managing the content. So a lot of the trips, I write the briefs for all, the new Vanford launch or the new Stratic launch, whatever it might be, a new product that comes in. I get all the information from the product team, and then we construct a marketing plan for launch, and then an ongoing plan for that. So yeah, it's good fun. I get to spend a lot of days out and travel out to waters, and I don't do a lot of fishing myself on those days. I generally just produce on the boat. Often I'll drive the boat or hold a GoPro if needed. Sort of a jack of all trades role there, but I don't try. We have our anglers who do our fishing, and I want them. I want to build their profiles. That's important, because it was interesting when I started at Shimano 14 months ago. The first thing I said was, we've had a lot of guys, we still do have some wonderful ambassadors at Shimano, but a lot of guys are on TV, and they've been on TV for a long time, and they do a really wonderful job for us and talk to a certain audiences. And then we've got another group, another wave of younger anglers who are very gifted, very talented. They engage with a younger audience, and I want to be able to raise and build their profile. So that's just a bit of a plan. But yeah, that's sort of the job in a nutshell. It's good fun. How did I get to it? Yeah, as I said earlier, I got myself a marketing degree, finished cricket, and then I started my own marketing business, just from home really, and started contracting to different businesses in the fishing industry and the marine industry. So I was doing some content for boats and doing some content for some brands. I worked 2 years with Michael Guest at Real Action TV.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, Guesty was fantastic. I spent 2 days a week working with him as his sort of general business manager and managing all of his sponsors for the show. And it was a great way to cut my teeth in the industry and learn a lot about it. And of course, Guesty obviously is linked with Pure Fishing, with the Penn brand and Abu Garcia, and then a whole host of other brands that he's got going on there. So, look, I really enjoyed my time doing that, and it was sort of from there that I had a discussion with Shimano about doing some content for a magazine that I was Ocean Blue Fishing magazine. I was doing some advertising work for them there, and lo and behold, they said, "Look, we've got a marketing role going here, and your CV sort of stacks up. Is there, you're looking for a full-time job or anything?" It was a bit of an opportunity that was like, don't want to let that opportunity go. And so I spoke to my wife about it, and she's like, "Go for it." So you've always talked about wanting to be a marketing manager of a product that you love, and it just so happens it's in the industry that you love as well, the hobby. So get in and have a crack. Here I am. Yeah.
During your marketing degree, did you know that you wanted to get into fishing tackle and products, or
no? I didn't. Tom, I always thought it was. I always thought it was going to be probably sport. A sporting brand or a sporting product. You spend days and days on end, playing cricket, standing in the field, looking at all the signage around the ground, and I'm often thinking, why does Toyo Tyres down in Hobart sponsor the Hobart, the Tasmanian Devils, Tasmanian Tigers cricket team? Or, I go to the MCG and, you see those brands that are there. And I was always thinking from a marketing perspective, like no one else was thinking that. But I was probably always thinking it was going to end up there. But then I was like, you know what? I was very lucky and very fortunate to play cricket for a living and do something that I loved. And I kind of went, you know what? Here's the second phase of, my working career. Let's see if I can find something that I also really love as well to keep doing it, because it then doesn't make it like a job. Like I drive probably an hour and a half to work each day from where I am. I live in the far north of Sydney, and Shimano's way down in the south. But I'm like, just got to take it on. It's not like there's another job going like that that's just around the corner where I live. So it doesn't feel like a chore, is probably what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
Tom actually came in with a whole sheet full of questions about Shimano bicycle parts. So he was
good, Tom. What I can tell you is globally, 80% of Shimano's turnover and revenue globally is in the bike division, 20% in the fishing division. Wow. Which tells us how much do they love a bike in Europe.
My boss is Swedish, and he loves his bikes, and I think he did hold a record for Everesting, which is like riding the altitude of Mount Everest, but just in a local area. Some world record. So yes, I'm sure he'd be interested. But
He rode up and down a single hill
over and over
until he reached that altitude.
Until he'd done 8,000 whatever meters.
I'd rather go snapper fishing.
Yeah, true. The bikes. We work out of the same building here in Sydney. They're a good group of guys. We don't have any real crossovers there, although there is a business down in Victoria, and I'm trying to remember. I shouldn't remember the name, but they've now got charter fishing off e-bike. So you hire the e-bike. It's out of a bike shop, and they'll take you trout fishing in the streams, but you ride your e-bikes to the streams, go fishing for the day, and then hop on your bikes and come back, and that's your whole adventure for the day.
I like that.
And I was pretty excited that they sent me images of the e-bikes. They've even got the rod holders like coming out the back of the leg there that run along the frame of the bike. Looks red hot, and so we've partnered up with them, to supply product for them for their charter. And it's absolutely remiss of me not to give them a plug, because I should.
That's all right. If you find the link to it and send it through to me, I'll chuck it up on the socials after the podcast.
So. I will. Yeah. Look, we sponsor 106 events around the country, and I'm still getting my head around a lot of these events and whatnot. But and charter operators are everywhere as well. There's some fantastic charter operators out there.
There is.
I think it's down at Inverell. I think it is. Maybe I'm wrong. Don't quote me on that.
Isn't Inverell in Tassie? Am I wrong?
Could be right, mate. That probably tells you what I know about this, doesn't it?
Oh, I'm geographically challenged unless I'm on the ocean, so I could be wrong as well. I want to know one thing. How many sponsorship requests and emails do you receive over a week? Say, do you get absolutely inundated?
Yeah, look, the answer is yes. Inundated, I would say. It has been really, really busy in the last 2 or 3 months. Whether that's tax time or not, I'm not sure. Financial year change, I don't know. But it just appeared to be a lot of requests coming in, and so very funny. We have a system. Anyone who wants to be sponsored by Shimano can actually write into us via our website, and there's a link there to click, and you can give all your detail on it. And share with us who you are, what you do, and what type of fishing you do. And it's a good little system. The last count that we had, now this goes back 10 years or so in the system. 7,000, I think 800 and something requests have come in since, like, this is 10 years ago. So we're probably looking at 700 on average a year. But yeah, per week, I must admit, it's 10, it's 15 different opportunities that always spring up, and we assess them all. But we also need to be fairly strategic about it. We understand. Look, we're a humble business to begin with. That's the first thing I learned when I started working with Shimano is how humble we are. We understand that we do sell a lot of product, and we understand that we do produce a very good product. But more importantly, we understand that we've got a role to play in the fishing industry, and it's not just to be able to make the best gear, but it's also to be able to represent the industry so that everybody can enjoy recreational fishing. Everyone can enjoy, businesses can enjoy being charter operators, guides can enjoy being guides, and retail stores can enjoy being retail stores. That's important. But from my point of view, the content that we create, when people jump on our Shimano YouTube site, some really good content there on how to learn and to educate. So the way I've sort of looked at it was, if we imagine, a family that's got screaming kids who are just hassling you to go fishing, and they don't know much about it, but they want to go and do it. And you've got a parent at home. Let's just say it's a mum at home, a single mum at home, who's got 2 boys who's just chomping to go fishing, but they don't know what they're doing. Mum, take us to the jetty. Mum goes, I really want to be able to have that family moment with my kids, but I don't know how to do anything in fishing. Well, if I can create content on a Shimano platform for mum to learn that, and then she can go and execute that, go and learn to tie the knot, go and learn to fish light, go and catch some nice fish off the pier, and then have that, first fish image that we've all got as a kid up on the family portrait, and Shimano's played a nice role to be able to allow that to happen, then that's the icing on the cake for us in that regard. So that's sort of how we operate. Mate, that's how we think, that's how our team in particular, from a content perspective, tries to think as well, because we all absolutely froth and love over it. It's an addictive recreation. For some, it's a very expensive recreation. For others, for others, it's a challenging recreation. But importantly, this country we live in, we're absolutely blessed to be able to travel and visit some amazing waterways to be able to go fishing. And we want to be able to maintain that for so long. It's doesn't take much for someone to shut us out of certain things, and even in the short time I've been in this industry, I've already witnessed it firsthand, where it takes just a couple of people to ruin a particular fishery for politics to take over, and all of a sudden us to be banned, shut out, or not be able to go and do what we want to do. So we're all about sustainability. We're all about people doing the right thing with fishing, and that comes down to handling fish. That also comes down to the way we treat the environment as well.
Yeah, that's a great ethos. There has been quite a few things recently. You had the blue groper ban up there just recently, which was media.
We did, mate. That was that was fascinating to see how quickly that could be orchestrated, from the moment that an overseas tourist, I believe, speared a groper in an area that they were allowed to spear. It just so happened that groper was a local resident that was very popular with everybody.
That was Barry.
I think. Is that right? Yeah, you know more than I do.
No, I just made that name up.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure this blue gopher did have a name. And, yeah, unfortunately, the blue gopher was looked a better feed for the certain person than it did for everyone else that's been swimming around it for so many years. And within months, all of a sudden, it wasn't just that little area; it was the whole state. No longer you can do that, And look, we've all seen the clips on what went on in Parliament, and whether the minister could tell us what colour a blue gopher was or not, and they struggled to do that. But the message was, look how simple it is for something like that to happen. That's why we all, regardless, anyone who goes fishing is, a custodian of the recreation, and we've all got responsibility.
I love it. You have actually, I don't know, did you attend personally or not? We just had ICAST over in America, which is an absolutely massive trade tackle show, and there was some exciting products from Shimano released. Did you get over there or not?
There was. No, I didn't get over there. I've heard it's a monstrous event. I attended after last year, and I'm attending after in 3 weeks' time. And we're obviously launching the new products that have been launched at ICAST this year. And look, it looked like a really successful event. We had Paul Worsling over there, and Carl Jacobson went over as well. Or, sorry, Carl was already there, of course.
Yep.
But yeah, the guys did some content for us. I think you'll probably see that one will be punched out in the next 24 hours on our socials, and it's to do with the Vanford. Obviously, the Vanford FA was launched, a new Vanford, and yeah, pretty exciting bit of kit. We did some filming of that a few months ago. Now we got some samples in, and that's always fun when you're going filming with a product that you can't tell anyone about.
Yeah.
It's an interesting. I've got embargoes and NDAs that need to be signed from camera people and anglers, and you're capturing all this really cool content, and you just want to get it out there and show everyone. But you're like, no, you've got to abide by policy, and that's fine. That's great. That's exciting. But, that Vanford, there's some new technologies in that which I think everyone will enjoy. But I think the most important part about
our listeners are quite aware of it. Tom did a beautiful ad read for the Vanford last week on our podcast.
I listened to it actually, Tom, and I thought you did it particularly well because that was actually a little. That was a brief that I wrote. So I'm thinking, I'm driving to work, listening to Tom articulate my work, and I was like, "Well done."
So
I read it, and I was like, brilliant. "Why would I bother rewording that? It's perfect."
There was a lot of big words in there, Tom, and that certainly wasn't coming from me. That was coming from the product team. But yeah, things like Duracross, things like Infinity Cross and Infinity Drive, some of these words, I just go, what is that all about? But I must admit, the big selling point for mine that I've really enjoyed is everyone hates getting a wind knot, don't you, when you're casting? Like they're just a punishing thing that happens, and there's a number of reasons for it. But this new anti-twist fin, which is a little fin that sits on the reel, and it basically it basically prevents the wind knots from happening, and having the Vanford and also that saltwater Stratic. There's a 4,000 saltwater Stratic that's about to be launched, and it's got this fin on it. And we did a shoot up at Coffs Harbour recently in probably 15 knots of wind, crosswind as well, and we did not get one wind knot all day. And it was due to this new fin development, that the anti-twist fin, which I love it because I'm no expert at fishing, that's for sure, and I get the fair share of wind knots on a windy day, and this thing just removes that, which makes your day more enjoyable. And often it can be the difference between finishing that drift well, or damn it, I've got a wind knot, I've got to untie it, and the boat drifts over the top of the area you want to fish, and you've just spooked fish and wasted your time.
There's only so many times you're going to retie your rig before you just give up as well. So,
it gets frustrating, of course. So this new anti-twist fin, I think's a really good, and you actually get a couple of spare ones in the pack too. So don't throw those away.
Couple of spare reels.
No, good technology. No, not reels. A couple of spare fins.
Great deal.
You'd love a couple of spare reels in there, wouldn't you?
That'd be fantastic, because then when I get a bird's nest, I can just throw the reel in the bin and grab the other one. But we won't. No, that's wasteful. These new reels, the Vanford Stratic, and I think the other big one was Talica 20 and 25.
Yes, that's right. So the Talicas, we launched the new 12 and 16 last year. So what's happened is this is a continuation of that into the bigger models, the 20 and 25, and you probably don't have to be Einstein to work out that the 50, I'm assuming, is going to come. I haven't been told that yet, but I would assume it would come. So yeah, there's I guess the real main difference of these now is the new dual drag system in them, and that sort of depresses heat from the saltwater ingress that gives it more protection around the around, what are they called? Around those pinion gears, I think they're called. See, I'm learning all the way too.
I'm glad you worked that one out because I wouldn't have been able to tell you.
Yeah. Pinion gears, but yeah, no, dual drag system is new. It obviously has the X-Protect shielding, which is far more water resistant for that salt spray. Obviously, the talicas are always getting belted up by salt. And then it comes now with the inclusion of this term Infinity Drive, which obviously offers a lighter rotation than the older Stratic. So they're saying sort of 40% lighter rotation. And I know Al McGlashan, who's a big tuna fisher recently, he's had his hands on these, doing some work for us recently, and he called up the other day. He said, "Oh, they're far easier to wind than the older Talicas, which were fantastic as well." He said these things are just absolute dreams. So yeah, we're excited by the launch of that. They've actually got an increased drag up to 22.5 kilos now instead of 20 as well. So that's pretty exciting.
That would make Tom complain even more.
Will it? Yeah, right.
I tend to like just standing behind the wheel and yelling at everyone else when they wind in fish, and they do tend to complain a little bit. So yeah, this will be fantastic. Yeah. Some more pulling power for them.
I think if I get another shot, I'll be doing that. It took too long last time.
Now tell me, with handle designs, what do you boys prefer in the handle design? So the 20 or the 25 now has got a new T-bar handle for better comfort as well.
Is that the size of the 50 Telica and Tiagra? Yeah. Well, I see majority of people actually doing that upgrade on their own anyway, so bit of a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, I think that's they've done their development there, and these reels obviously all come straight out of the factories in Japan. I had an amazing experience to go to Japan around the Osaka show, which was in February this year, and I got to go into the Shimano factory and basically watch the cold forging, which is basically where they begin the build of a fishing reel. The technology was insane. I was watching these robots just drive around the factory and moving product from place to place. And every place there was almost a checkpoint, and there was a human worker, a Japanese worker there, who would check every single piece of product that was built from the cold forging all the way through to the end result. And the funny part was, I said, "Oh, these robots that are driving, and they're the size of cars." I said, where are they developed? And they said, "Oh, no, we build them as well." So the robots that build the product is also built by Shimano. And it just blew me away. I just went, well, I can now see why when we offer a 10-year warranty on any of these products, I can now see that's the reason why. They wouldn't allow me to take any photography, or you had to put your phones down. And I was like, oh, as the marketing manager of content, that's the ultimate selling content right there. Yeah. Just people investing so much money in a Shimano product, but they're getting the value because if you see what goes in behind the development and the technology, you're going, yeah, I understand it, and I feel confident that my investment is going to last for a long time, and it obviously comes with that 10-year warranty.
And they do, and it's great that all these new reels have such fantastic upgrades. But the good thing is that reels that you buy from Shimano 10, 15 years ago, they're largely the same quality, and they'll last.
They're still going, aren't they? Yeah, they are, and that's it. Sometimes I go just to shoot yourselves in the foot. Like, what are we doing with the 10-year warranty? I mean, why are we making a product that's going to last 15 years when we actually would love our customer to be buying a reel every 4 or 5 years would be nice. But but it's that humbleness, it's that integrity, it's that hard work that the Japanese are so renowned for. And we spent 3 days with the team, a lot of the staff members over there. They were fantastic people, amazingly talented and very hardworking and dedicated people. Everyone rode bikes, and I loved it. If you ride your bike to work, you get $50 extra in your paycheck every week, which is something that I absolutely loved.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and another message. So there was this whole, there was factories upon factories, but there was this whole bottom level of bike racks, and everyone had their slot. It was almost like car parks, but they were bikes. They all had their slots. They all had their bikes lined up, their helmets, and if that bike slot was locked in, that they knew that they'd ridden to work that day, so they get a bit extra pay. It's a great sustainability message.
That is great. Probably need to start doing something like that here, because certainly haven't been doing too much exercise lately. Any other releases we can talk about without getting killed by the Japanese Shimano mafia?
No, we can. Look, we got 11 rods that we're launching. I won't go into too much detail. 11 rods. We got 3 new beach rods, which will excite, I think, a lot of Victorian fishers. Everything from the rocks where you can cast lures, some lightweight lure casting, shore based, right through to the beach, through to the heavy beach, big baits as well. So we're really looking at a bit of a beach focus with our launch, and then we've got some really cool tournament brim rods coming out too. So 3 different ranges. One range I can announce is the new T-Curve range. So T-Curve's been around for a lot of years with Shimano. There's been a few variations. There's been some greats. There's been some that have been not so great. They've made a decision this year to completely rebuild a whole new T-Curve with a whole new blank. New guides, new reel seats, same name, same blue colours slightly, but we've just tested these rods. There's 13 rods in the range. They go from really light estuary tournament style fishing up to a 7'10" snapper rod, which is my personal favourite. I think it's the best rod that I've seen, and that's because I'm such a biased snapper fisher. That one's been superb to be able to punch out big, long casts for lures on the drift and whatnot. That's happening. We got some JDM rods coming over as well, which you will have seen launched through iCast. So that's new Poison Adrena, new Oshia Jigger. So an Oshia Jigger rod to match the Oshia Jigger range reels, and they're from PE 3, 4, 5, and 6. They're an amazing blank, amazing rod. And then the Oshia Full Throttle, the pluggers have been upgraded as well with some new technologies. Got their own Shimano X guides now, so Shimano's actually making their own guides on these rods as well. So they're all at the top end of town in terms of price, but you are getting an amazing rod for what you're paying. So that's happening. We got some entry level stuff too, which is really cool. There's a particular rod which we'll launch it after that will absolutely blow people away with the price. It's only a $99 rod, but what you are getting is probably more like a $300 rod with the technologies and the componentry in it. So we're pretty excited by the launch of that rod as well when it comes up in 3 weeks' time.
Amazing. Well, we look forward to that stuff sort of coming through, filtering its way down to our neck of the woods. Would definitely love the sound of that soft plastic snapper T-Curve. That would be wonderful.
There's the boys have banned me because there's one of one in our offices at the moment, and it's been used for filming and whatnot. And they're like, keep it away from Dom, keep it away. And I've just been eyeing it off the whole time. So they're not far away. I think we'll see the T-Curves in range around October, just in time for your beautiful red snapper fish to turn up in the Victorian waterways, I would think.
Oh, fantastic. We look forward to that. Now, we are going to crack through a couple of other items. So you're welcome to hang about a bit, Dom, or...
No, go for it, mate. I'm happy to listen.
Beautiful. Just wanted to quickly touch on, we are running a fishing competition in conjunction with Mully's Marine, who graciously allow us to podcast from their facility, which is very exciting. We touched on it quite a bit last week, didn't we, Tom?
We did.
There's been really good interest over the last few days. So there's, I think, about 100 people have registered interest. But I think I just wanted to put out there that if you do want to join in on that, you do have to go and find the entry forms, fill them out, and send them back in. And it's $10 entry for adults, free for kids. Stacks of awesome stuff to win. And we will keep building on that because that's a little ways off. But just reminding people that whilst you've all registered a lot of interest, you do need to fill out your forms and get them back to us so that we can organise to get you all out your kits for the competition. You looking forward to that one, Tom?
I am. It might help me escape. I'm going to have a newborn, so maybe I can get away and do a bit of fishing.
Good luck with that, Tom.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath, but
I like that we all just laughed at him because you're dreaming.
So I don't know if you saw, Dom, it's a length-based fishing comp.
I did hear this. You boys were talking about stingrays last week. Is that right? And length, you're thinking
the
that
longer the
banjo
better.
sharks.
We're not glory hunters. We're length hunters.
You're strategists. That's what you guys are, strategists. So I like your theory.
Did you have any thoughts on what you would chase if you were fishing this comp?
Oh, I think at this time of the year, you can't. Well, flathead always give you pretty good in terms of lengths, don't they? In terms of species,
not the ones we catch.
Yeah, I was going to say not the ones I get, but
yeah, you see the ones that linger around up here are they're a lot larger. So I'm probably not thinking that through real well, am I? But yeah,
it is Victoria wide, so people could duck over there to Lake Tyers and Gippsland.
If you road tripped from one end of the state to the other, you could really clean up.
You could. That's dedication, though,
you
isn't
could.
it?
You could.
What about something like a hairtail, Dom? When's hairtail season?
Well, when is that? It's on now here in Sydney, but no one's got the brain to go out there and sit in the. Now we call it cold. For you guys, this ain't cold, but for us, it's freezing. And yeah, it's funny. We've had some funny hairtail captures. Not me personally, because I'm not targeting them, but I know with Guesty on his TV show, there was a couple of random ones that were, we're flicking for plastics for flathead up there in the mid-north coast and all in the middle of summer, and we get this hairtail that comes out of nowhere. It was a bit odd, but yeah, look, obviously hairtail's brilliant because that's going to give you plenty of centimetres in a competition like that. But I'm assuming, look, sharks obviously do a good job, don't they? They'll get you some decent lengths in that as well.
We get one called a 7-gill down here, broad-nosed 7-gill, and they're a big pain in the butt, and they're very long. So I expect a few people will be out on the hunt for 7-gills. During that competition.
No doubt.
So
how do you catch those? For a novice like me, how do you catch a 7-gill?
You just chuck any sort of hunk of meat in the water and they'll generally find you.
Like every shark.
The legend is that it's actually true, they actually love eating gummy sharks, which is something that is quite sought after here in Victoria, is the gummy shark. And when you have gummy sharks, there's often 7-gills in the region and they will eat them. Even though we think of them as a big, dopey, stupid shark, they're kind of ferocious and they're quite aggressive. They have attacked people in the past, and they've got teeth kind of like a tiger shark. So,
there you go. Unique. Maybe they should make the Shimano content program maybe somewhere, and we come down and target the 7-gill.
Oh yeah, I don't know how.
Not selling it. I'm not selling it, am I?
Yeah, they're probably not my favourite thing to catch, unfortunately, but they would be very handy for that competition.
I've got a great
Tell
site.
me.
I'll send you the GPS coordinates for.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Tell me, is it Chinook salmon?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Chinooks.
Is there a few sneaky places down in Victoria you can catch them?
There is. We've got the Crater Lakes down there in down west around Colac region, Lake Purrumbete, Lake Bullamerri, and I think a couple of others, and they were heavily stocked in there. And there is heaps and heaps of minnows and gudgeons and all sorts of bait in there, and they grow massive. So me and Joe actually filmed an episode. We went down there and caught some and then cooked them up.
So that could be an option, because that's, if they're massive and they've got, for your length, that might be not a bad little trip.
Definitely,
a few of your contestants.
You hit that same lake area too, and you can catch eels, which are very long.
Oh, they'll do the job for you. Yeah, I tell you, is this a photograph competition? You're going to have some amazing. It's going to be a graphic photograph brag wall, isn't it?
The brag wall is going to be the greatest collection of crap fish you've ever seen. But we look forward to keeping an eye on that. Plenty of updates to come there. Also in the news, I don't know if you saw this one, Dom, over in America, a bit of footage came across. A couple of guys, because a few of our listeners send us in stuff that they think will be interesting to talk about. A few people sent me this video here of this whale actually breaching and landing on a boat over there in the US. So just chuck the footage.
Console boat, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've just put the footage up so anyone who's watching on the live stream can actually see it. But little excerpt of that one is 2 occupants of a fishing vessel are unharmed after a whale surfaced under their boat, capsizing it off New Hampshire. The US Coast Guard on social media platform X received a Mayday call on the Tuesday stating a 7-meter center console boat turned over near Audiorn Point State Park because of a whale breach. The occupants were ejected from the vessel as the boat capsized. The Coast Guard posted a Good Samaritan recovered both vessels, individuals from the water with no injuries reported, which is quite amazing. The young 16-year-old who I think you saw there in the footage actually pulled them out of the water. But we've seen it before. A few years ago, we talked about it on the podcast actually, and I think they get like a bit of a salmon run. Speaking of the Chinook salmon, and those whales come up and try to engulf the whole bait ball in one hit, and they obviously don't know what's on the other side, and the boats are trying to catch the salmon. And disaster.
It was. I loved, having seen that footage, I love the expression on the Good Samaritan who threw his boat into reverse and looked like he was going over there to collect the civilians that happened that were in the water.
Yeah, it was good.
But the look, that was great to see. The look on he was very calm with it all. You know, like quite an amazing experience to be there. And you're like, what do I do now? Well, he just went straight into action, and I thought that was pretty good of him to do that. But yeah, what a random experience that is. Nothing we don't like to see that. But I'm hearing more and more reports of boats, either hitting whales or whales becoming a bit of a speed bump. But yeah, when it's a breach like that, you're like, wow, that's pretty unlucky, that one.
Yeah, I think there was one in the media this week as well, actually. A boat, can't remember exact location. It was a Coast Guard or a rescue vessel, and they hit a whale and took off quite a lot of one of their, because it was a cat, quite a lot of the front of one of the hulls. So it's
it's happening more and more. Port Stephens is an absolute highway for the whales. They come in tight. It juts out a bit along the New South Wales coast, and I'm fishing in 10 meters of water, and between me and the rocks, the damn whale comes through. These big, they're massive, and they know the boat's there, but yeah, they certainly frighten the life out of you. I'm sitting here on my desk looking at a PLB, personal location device, that I just purchased yesterday, and it was on the back of a discussion that I had with a gentleman from Navico, Dan, who had an unfortunate incident some time back now.
Dan and Mark Sullivan. We had Mark on the podcast.
That's right.
And talked about that whole saga.
Yeah, so Dan, and I listened to your podcast, but I also listened to the story live, from Dan's experience. And again, they said, without this device, we'd probably not sitting here having this conversation. And it made me. I was in a boat shop yesterday, and I saw it, and I went, you know what, I'm buying that.
Yep.
And because I'm now in the industry of hopping on a lot of different boats, and they're not my own boats, so it's we're always compliant and checking. When we're working, we're going on boats that have registered, safe, insured, blah blah blah. But you're just going to these locations, remote locations. You don't know what's going to happen. And now that we're in the winter, and I spend a lot of time traveling at night, and not going fast, just going within the realms of being able to get from A to B. But the back of the mind is always about the whales at the moment. And so yeah, I've gone and bought that little device on the back of that podcast that you guys did.
Wonderful. Next topic headline. Simply cocaine sharks. Can you run us through that one, Tom?
Yeah, so this is news to me. But apparently this is what's happening. There's Brazilian sharp-nosed sharks have tested positive for cocaine, according to a new study. Scientists studied 13 sharks off the coast of Brazil and detected the drug in all of them, as well as benzo.
Yeah, that one's a hard one.
Which is the major metabolite of cocaine in 12 of them.
I didn't write that one, Tom.
It's awful. It doesn't have any of the nice words you used.
Nothing about gears and CI4 carbon.
The study published in the Science of the Total Environment reported traces of the drug were found in the shark's livers and muscles. It is the first to find the presence of cocaine in sharks. And researchers say concentrations were as much as 100 times higher than previously reported for other aquatic drug addicts. Creatures. Scientists who carried out the study, titled Cocaine Sharks, dissected the bodies of 13 sharp-nosed sharks caught near a beach in Rio de Janeiro.
I don't really know what to follow up with there, but
well, there was a movie, Cocaine Bear, and now we've got real-life cocaine sharks.
Are we surprised that they were Brazilian sharks?
No,
probably not.
No.
Yeah, if we had a shark in Australia, where would we think would be the location? I'm not sure, but yeah,
King's Cross,
probably around the harbour there. I would think that there'd be a few. Yeah, you're probably right. Geez, you're penciling in, aren't you, Tom? Opening a few can of worms here.
But luckily, majority of our listeners aren't from there, so we'll be right.
We're just going, how does he know?
My immediate thought was that, geez, they'd fight well, wouldn't they? They'd be really fired up.
Oh, you know what to use for bait.
Yeah.
What have I hooked? Geez, it's an erratic fight. What have I hooked?
That's one of those cocaine sharks. No, interesting little story there. So we'll watch that one with great interest and see how that one develops. But a lot of people asking for Joseph Fernand updates because he's been missing. He went on tour to Europe. Should be back here this week, but he's, like I mentioned at the top of the show, off doing catch up with work, and he promises he will be back next week, but did want me to advertise. He's playing a gig at Hamilton Island this weekend. He is a jet setter, and he has a spare bed in his accommodation. So any Wind Against Tide listeners that fancy themselves a holiday at Whitsundays, you get yourselves there and you can bunk in with Joey Fernand. You heard it here
There
first.
is the prize of the season.
Yeah, so great opportunity for someone there. We're going to have a quick look at some fishing reports because there's been a little bit going on. Not much down here with the horrible weather, but we will hit that intro. Hey! Welcome to the Hookup, where we go around Australia and indeed the world for the freshest fishing reports. Now, Dom, the majority of our fishing reports actually centre around your neck of the woods with some incredible bluefin tuna fishing going on there at the moment. And you were saying a little bit earlier, you've got a sneaky report pertaining to a certain member of the Shimano team.
Well, our head of planning, who's the big boss, decided that, and rightly so, he's been working very, very hard of late. But a little window weather, as it always does, happened to arrive on Wednesday for him. And so he did the right thing. He took the day off work and didn't tell too many people what was going on. But, yeah, social media doesn't hide anything, does it, unfortunately? And when you're on a boat with Al McGlashan and you have some success, then we all know that Al's going to be able to produce and post content. And there happened to be my boss on the end of a new Shimano rod and some new technology that we are testing. And at the other end of the rod, down towards the pointy end of the line, was a 125 kilo bluefin, which happened to make its way onto the boat. And the unfortunate thing was, I think it was about a 4 o'clock bite, so fought it into the dark. It was about a 45-minute fight, and then a big steam back. And I think Narada decided that Al, you can deal with the fish, and I'll come back in a couple of days and pick up some fillets. So
that's the best way to do it. Yeah.
That was the best way, but no, there's been my feeds and my phone's lighting up with big bluefin being caught, just out the front of Sydney and all the way down. So wonderful to see, great to see guys getting out there. We've had some nice weather for a change, which sounds like the majority of the country's just had such bad weather in the last 6 months. So yeah, good to see some bluefins push all the way up here, which we haven't seen for a few years.
Hey, I saw, and it might have been, I think it might have been a New Zealand thing. They had Shimano fish bags that they'd brought out. Are we going to see them in Australia? Because we're seeing a massive push towards caring for our catch with tuna and all the other
absolutely.
species.
Look, there's some samples in the storeroom at the moment, of which we went and had a bit of an experiment with, and we actually here in Australia have made the call to upgrade them into something we really think would be very beneficial for everyone. We're going to make some refinements and enhancements to those, but yeah, I would think that at some stage here down the track in the development stage, you'll see those fish bags out. The guys in New Zealand have brought them out, and they're really, really good. They do a really good job. We just would like a few more handle carry straps and a bit more support around the tops, and you'll see that happening. There's also a few Shimano ice boxes and eskies that are floating around in the shops at the moment too. So, story behind those is that they're not a core range product. They're actually excess stock from Japan. They're about a $300 esky, but in Japan they're selling them for $1,000 Australian. They hold ice for 5 days, and they're an incredible build. They're an amazing product. So, yeah, I would suggest if you're interested in an ice box, 40-litre ice box that you can drive your car over, get in there and have a bit of a look, because they're fantastic, and they're at a really cheap rate in most of the tackle stores at the moment. Oh. There's another plug.
Yeah, no, you've done well. You've hit the quota.
I've definitely hit the quota.
It is a quick hookup today. Oh, actually, I've got to give Narada catch of the week because not much else is going on. So there you
go. Well done.
Kong, mate. Look,
that's
he can retire happy now.
Is that the great Suraj?
That's Suraj.
The wonderful. That's him. And look, fantastic to hear. Obviously, he had some health issues there. So first and foremost, wonderful to hear he's back fighting fit.
He is.
But no, I thoroughly enjoy listening to. He's listening to the banter, listening to his fishing journeys. I think he's an absolute character.
He is just one out of the box. He's the nicest. He's been all week sending me emails because he's planning a fishing trip to Nepal/India for next year to catch a species called marsha, which they catch in the rivers there. They're like a massive goldfish type looking thing. I don't know how to explain them, but anyway, they look pretty cool. But he's very excitedly planning on going over there, so that'll be awesome.
Fishing, he's my man then, because fishing in India, it's actually a thing, and there's some big barramundi caught down in the southern parts of India, and yeah, I've got this sort of inkling that, imagine if you could turn 0.5% of Indians into fishing addicts, what that would do for the fishing industry.
You are a marketing genius. It's I see the way your mind ticks over there. Nicely done.
And then the other part is, well, obviously having been to India on several occasions, that if you play cricket, you kind of get you get the red carpet, you get the treatment because you're playing cricket, and that's literally all they do in India. So let's combine the cricketers to go and become ambassadors for the fishing industry, and let's turn that into something rather large.
I like that. Hey, one thing I forgot to ask when you mentioned you and Brett Lee had a boat earlier. What kind of boat was it, and did it have a cricketing pun name?
Didn't have a pun name at all. It was an Edgewater, 23-foot Edgewater. We got it.
You could have called it the Leading Edge.
There's the marketing. There's the marketing. That's majority of my batting career was off the Leading Edge. But no, we thought we enjoyed it. We were fishing out of Sydney Harbour. I had a Quintrex, the first one I bought, and after a while, we started going offshore, and we wanted to keep going further. So we made the call. Let's buy a boat together, and we got the Edgewater together. And I've been in Edgewaters ever since. I absolutely love them. I think they're an amazing hull. Set of consoles, so you can get plenty of lure casting going on, and yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. So since sold that one, I'm now rolling out in an Edgewater 18. I went actually down in size. I went to an 18-footer purely because I'm fishing around the bay, and I can go offshore, but I can also get up in real shallow waters to chase some big flathead.
I'll send you some information on a certain boat after the show. I think would be perfect for you. Speaking of marketing,
sorry, I'm sitting there telling you about the opposition boats, aren't I? I'm sorry about that, Dave.
No, that's all good. No, they are a great hull. I've actually been in Edgewater, and it was fantastic. So, We will quickly run through a couple of questions to finish off, Dom. You've been very, very generous with your time, but there's a couple here that I think are pertaining to yourself, so we'll give them a quick read over.
That scares me.
No. Simon Webster, who's a great friend of the show, he's actually just got a nice little feedback message for you. Says, loves the new 12,000 Beastmaster. Tried it out yesterday, and it's a tank.
It is a tank, isn't it? Yeah, it's 43 kilos of drag, that one, and a new Gigamax motor, which is brushless. And everything is brushless in today's world is obviously very good too. So, yeah, the Japanese have done a great job with that one. And we filmed with it off Fraser Island there with Paul Burt some time back. And, yeah, just a dream to be able to use. It's got a jigging function in it as well, so you can drop your big jigs down, and literally, if you want to do 5 jigs, you do 5. You can create your own jigging technique off it, and it's almost like auto deploy. It's good fun, and we had it with the 9000B Beastmaster, and we had the pulling capacities at the same, and we're in 400 meters of water. We're on the bottom, and we hit the button and said, right, let's get both of these baits up. And it probably brought the 12,000 brought up the baits probably about 2 minutes quicker than the 9, which meant you get more fishing time, and you're not getting as far off your drift as when you're deep dropping where you want to be as well. So
there you go.
Yeah, impressive bit of gear.
Keep an eye out for that one. Great for all the deep droppers there off Lakes Entrance in Southwest Victoria. Next one.
It's taken off, isn't it?
Oh, it has. And guys are actually doing a lot of that deep water jigging at the moment, catching blue eye, Tassie trumpeter, and that sort of stuff. So there's another big market for you.
Absolutely.
Next question comes from Jason Taylor, the Kingfish Lord of the Universe. He hears there's some new top water lures for kingfish and tuna. Do you know what he's talking about there, Dom?
Ace Jace, a very, very good fellow, and works well with the AFN crew, with Billy Glasson on the TV show as well. But yeah, no, he's always onto us about top water. He's obviously got kingfish pretty dialed in down there in Victoria, and he's particularly loving catching them on the top water. So yeah, what he's probably talking about is a lot of these different Japanese lures. They're all Shimano lures that are out in the marketplace. So I think he's talking about the Nessa Beam Popper, which is a neat little bit of a product that comes from it's top water. It's really slender, really slim. I think we're seeing
that nails the brief for our bluefin fishery, actually.
That's because you guys, we actually brought out the bomb now dip? You're testing me. The bomb dip, thank you very much. And we brought them out in some certain colours too. That was literally, the feedback was from Victorian Fisher. So you go this colour, red leopard and the gold, and that was designed for the tuners. And then that's been pretty successful. But now this little Nessa Beam Popper is a bit more slender, a bit thinner, and you can work it a bit quicker across the top. I'm hearing that it's absolutely dominated on the top water tuners, and I'm sure Ace Jace, with his kingfish farm that he keeps so secretly, we need to get that out of him too. To be fair, like he keeps saying to me, Dom, no, and I said, Jace, I'm going to come down. I want to film you catching the kingfish, mate. He goes, but then everyone will know where I'm catching them. I'm like, wow. Sharing is caring, Jason.
He would have got cold sweats when you asked him that. He would have got terrified.
I think he's still sweating now.
And Jason also mentions there that he loves the new Vanford being so light, and he's just wondering if is lighter than its predecessor, which I think you said it was. They've made some weight.
Is, yeah. So we've got some lightness. Yeah, I'm sure he will. I'm sure he's giving it a good plug there, because he's probably going to ring me in the next few days when they're on shelf, I believe. News flash, 1st of August. We're not far away.
Oh, well, you're sending one to Victoria. We'll,
may as well send another one down there to you boys as well.
We'll even share postage. That'll save you a lot of money.
That's going to save me a hell of a lot. Yeah, but then the weight with Jace's other order with you probably want 15 Nessa bean poppers as well in that post too. So.
Yeah, well, we can once again share them as well. So.
Yes, so no, he's Jace, a terrific fellow. He's got a really good story, and I love his passion for fishing. It's addictive.
Yeah, no, he's mentally deranged when it comes to kingfish. That's for sure. That's the way I put it anyway.
Very good.
Yeah, we're actually going to do quite a bit more stuff with Jason in the future. He's been on a few times, but we have actually caught up for a fish a couple of times without great success. And we're going to do a little bit more of it this year, but actually hopefully catch something. So that'll be good.
It helps, doesn't it? It certainly helps when you catch a fish.
Oh yeah, look, we do every now and then like to succeed. It's a good change. So last question we have here is from Get Lost Stay Wild. Hey legends, where's the tuna bite? Early August, trying to make a plan of where to be.
What a question.
Well, I'm going to say we've had a massive blow here throughout the last couple of weeks. So I was actually saying to someone on the phone today, like if the weather cleared and I was to go tomorrow, it'd be quite a lottery as to where to go because the wind generally after a blow actually fires up a really good bite, but the fish may have moved. So, early August, a really good shot would be if you sort of looked around the Portland southwest region, Victoria, Portland or into Port Macdonald there in South Australia. It's very consistent. But having said that, last year we had an incredible run of fish coming straight past Port Phillip and Western Port, right through the middle of Bass Strait. And we've had some reasonable fishing there this year, but it hasn't fully fired up yet. So that also around August could be a very good option. So yeah, that's probably very broad. But if I had to pick anywhere, I'm saying Portland.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go. Here's my theory. Everything has been a month later than it has traditionally been. And the reason I say that, and I'm only talking New South Wales coast up into Queensland at the moment, but I've just found every species that I talk to anyone about, they're saying, oh, it's another month, it's in a month's time, and the water temperatures have been a bit warmer for longer along the east coast of Australia.
Yep.
And I think it's to do with those two cyclones that they had at the start of the year. It's definitely changed water temperatures and consistency. So that's my tip for anyone around the east coast of Australia, down into Victoria and lower parts of New South Wales, is whatever you fished for last year, fish a month later for the same thing.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. We've seen that with our sword fishery there on the east coast. The guys normally are pretty done and dusted by now, but had a mate out yesterday and he had 16-degree water still, which is well and truly in the realms of swordfish possibilities. So you're on the money. I have skipped one of our favourite correspondents with a report here. Terribly sorry, Michelle. I need to quickly run through this one. The only person who had a Victorian-based report for me, everyone else has been hiding inside out of the weather, but Michelle's very brave. Michelle Bretagne says the salmon are being caught off Portsea Pier and around Blairgowrie. Squid are in their usual spots along the peninsula, Mornington Peninsula. More successful on 2.5 and 3.0 size Shimano Cephias. I just added that Shimano Cephia part. With slow retrieval. Yep. Small bite windows for whiting in warmer and shallow water. So the bread and butter species still well and truly catchable at the moment. And depending on the direction of wind, you can find somewhere out of that breeze and still collect a feed. So
very, very talented fisho is Michelle.
She is.
And she does a really great job with both her platforms and also with the work on AFN as well. So, yeah, built a nice relationship with Michelle here for the last 12 months. And, I really enjoy watching her content. She's certainly someone to get out there and follow. And for the listeners who don't know Michelle, it's worth having a look because it's wonderful to see females really getting in and having a crack at everything and she's certainly got the squid game dialed in, and she does a really good job in that space. But no, I'm excited to see what she can do.
Yep, no, she is. She's great. She's a great fisher. She's a great ambassador, and actually
Terrific.
one of the most genuine, lovely people you could ever meet. So yeah, fantastic person to have on the podcast and working with. She's working with you guys at Shimano as well, isn't she?
A little bit here and there. We were in discussions last year. She obviously rocks the Black Magic gear really well and does a wonderful job there. And so we don't want to interfere too much with that. But look, she's as I say, a fantastic advocate for female fishing, and that's something that we've increased substantially, is the amount of female fishers around the country who are using our gear and using it for the right reasons, to promote fishing to the recreational fishers, particularly the girls out there.
Fantastic. All right, we have gone on quite a ways for this podcast. Sorry to keep you on for so long, Dom, but you've been a very interesting...
blame me.
No.
Blame me. I can talk under wet cement, so that's unfortunately a trait that I've got. But I've thoroughly enjoyed it, guys.
It's been a really fascinating podcast, actually, and I genuinely could probably talk to you for another hour, but I think we'd all like to probably head off and go to bed. So, massive thanks to you, Dom, and thank you, Tom, once again for coming on and filling Joe's shoes.
No worries. Thanks, Dom. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you very much.
Well done, Tom. And I've got to say, we've loved supporting the Wind Against Tide podcast. On behalf of Shimano, it's great to work with you guys. You've got great vision. You're getting out there, you're educating the public, you're inspiring people to fish, and that's exactly the kind of partners that we want to work with. So really love what you're doing for us and our brand, and look forward to hearing of more successful fishing in the future.
Thank you very much. And just from our point of view, we want to say a massive thanks to you guys, because you've made it possible to do what we do. And I'm also very excited moving into the future, because I'd love to hook up with some of the other Shimano crew and give our listeners a look into some different styles of fishing in different locations. So we will definitely make that happen, Dom. So thank you once again for coming on tonight. We're going to sign off, and thanks everyone for listening. We'll catch you next week. Oh, good.